Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Modern Life is Goodish. My name's Dave Gorman, and as you can see, I've got a big screen, a remote control, and a laptop that I have loaded with stuff that I want to share with you. It's an odd thing, really. I'm reasonably computer literate, as you can probably tell, but I never play computer games. The only computer game console I've ever owned was the one that you played that on. Which I loved, especially. Oh, if you got it to 11 all, then it looked like a pitch invasion. Amazing, isn't it? Really? But I'd say I don't play the proper, fancy, bona fide computer games that people play these days. That's not to say I don't occasionally find myself tempted. There are some adverts that make me think that looks pretty cool. Like this one for a game called Elite Dangerous. Isn't that phenomenal? The only problem I have with that is that the advert starts like this. I'm just going to show that again in case anyone missed the detail that is troubling me. Not actual game footage. Well, what is it then? This is an advert for a computer game which features animation that you made on a computer and which is going to play on someone's telly, and this is an advert made out of animation you made on a computer that is playing on my telly. Surely this is the perfect opportunity to show us the thing you are trying to sell us. You don't see adverts for tea with not actual tea on them, do you? You should show people what it is you're selling them. Lots of them do this. They all bloody do this. Look at this one. It's even worse. This is for a game called Asphalt Airborne 8, or Asphalt 8 Airborne. I don't know which. I neither know nor care. Just look at the advert for this. How can that not be game footage? That is what computer games look like. The score is up there at the top. You're driving along, hitting targets like you do in a computer game, but apparently that's not actual game footage. Have a look at this part of the advert. Look at that. It's amazing, isn't it? Look at this. How impressive is that? Look at the energy. Look at the power on display in this advert. But because it says not actual game footage, how do I know that your advert isn't for a game that looks like that? Now, I'll be honest with you, I am slightly manufacturing my own outrage at this. I'm not a gamer. It's not really my world. But I know a lot of other people do care because I get a lot of emails and tweets about it. For example, here is an email I received in November last year. Davo, we love Life is Goodish in our house. Thanks very much, but it's not actually what it's called. But why, she continues, why haven't you done something on computer game adverts yet? Not in-game footage, question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark. With tender feelings, Claire. Typical, very typical of the emails that I get these days. Very polite, very lovely. Here's another, more recent, 11th of February this year, from a man called Patrick, I believe. He says, "Hi, Dave. Big fan of Modern Life is Rubbish." Not what it's called, not what it's called, Patrick. Thank you, all the same. Maybe he wasn't talking about my show. Maybe he's a big fan of the Blur album, Modern Life is Rubbish. Lovely artwork there. Anyway, his email continues. Have you ever done anything about game ads and the whole not actual game footage bullshit? If not, you should. Peace out, Patrick. Yeah. Thanks, Patrick. I get a lot of emails like this. But you know what, Patrick, Claire? Get to the back of the queue. This is not new. This is not unique to the world of computer games. This is something that has been affecting people like me, people who like old-fashioned proper board games for years. Do you remember the game Sorry? Sort of Ludo, but they put it in a box and gave it a name and called it Sorry. You played it with pieces that looked like that, yeah? This is an old advert for Sorry.
Sorry. Sorry. Going through. Sorry.
Now that is not actual game footage, is it? Games have always been advertised like this. It's always not game footage. This is the board game Mousetrap. Here is a TV ad that they used to run for Mousetrap.
Hey, give that back. Mouse trouble? Then you need Mousetrap.
That is not actual game footage, is it? This is my favourite of the genre. It's an ad for Guess Who.
Is it me? Is it you? Who knows?
This is my favourite because this advert had to contain a version of the not actual game footage warning.
Guess who? Game cards do not actually talk.
Game cards do not actually talk. I love that. Love that. So get to the back of the queue, gamers. Let us fight our fight first. I love the way these classic board games look. That, to me, is the archetype of what a board game looks like. If you've never even seen one before, you'd look at that and know what it is. It's all bright colours. There's always a couple of kids on the box. It's normally a young boy with mousy brown hair and a young girl who's blonde. As a child, these images were very appealing to me because I looked like the boys in these games. Look, I could be on this box. I was that kid. And when the world is telling you that you are normal, you are the paradigm, this world is for you, you don't realise how comfortable your life is. These are colourful, they look like they're fun, don't they? They always have two people playing the game on the front. The game that confused me as a child was always this one. What the hell is going on there? Are they playing the game? Are they playing against each other, or are they playing it against you? Has she glued his fingers together? Is she threatening to do that to you if you lose? These games, this is like E-numbers and sugar and colours. This game, that's a glass of brandy and a cigar. What are they doing? This is for children. Look, for every age over 8. Are 9-year-olds meant to find that an appealing image? I was scared out of my wits by that when I was 9. I thought he was a Bond villain. You were playing against him so that, you know, if you lost, you were going to get dropped into a tank of piranhas. But if you're lucky, she might have a pang of conscience, realise that the game has been rigged by her evil overlord, and they'll unrig it, and so you would win. And she, impressed by your suave, debonair behaviour and your skill on a BMX bike, would take you out the back and seduce you. I had all those thoughts when I was 9 because I'd seen a Bond film. I used to think all sorts of other stuff. I didn't know what the words were. I didn't know the language. But a part of me, as a 9-year-old, would look at that and go, "Tie bride." You can't judge me for that. I was 9. The world had made that seem like a thing already to me at 9. Anyway, look at that photo. It's so severe, isn't it? It's threatening. This is a game that came with a threat. They brought out another version of the board game, Mastermind, this one, called Super Mastermind. It's like a parody of itself. Did you think on the day of the photo shoot there was an art director going mad, going, "No, you've got the wrong kind of Asian. What are you doing?" It's just a sort of inferior version with a Peter Cushing-esque Bond villain instead this time. This is what it says on the box for this one. Now 5 holes and 8 colours. It's like an advert for some really dodgy porn. I always associated the board game Mastermind with the TV show Mastermind simply because they were both called Mastermind. They did actually have a spin-off board game at some point, and deliciously, they weren't allowed to call it Mastermind because the board game Mastermind already existed, so we were left in the ridiculous situation of a board game called Masterbrain. Based on the BBC TV programme Mastermind. I love that they had to do that. I mean, if you bought Masterbrain because you were a big fan of Mastermind and you wanted to recreate the mood of the programme, all you really needed would be a chair, an angle poise lamp, and a cassette of... That would do it, wouldn't it? You can't do that with a lot of the modern shows. They release board games, they're nothing like them. This, for example. There is no way on earth that the cube is in that box. It looks quite big on the screen, so I've brought the box with me, just so you can see how big that actually is. Now, I don't know what's in here. I'm not going to open it. I've still got the receipt. I'm not an idiot. I don't need to know what's in here. I need to know what's not in here. I love the cube. I love Philip Schofield. But there is no way that the TV version of the cube could be anything like what's in that box. If you don't know the cube, I genuinely love it. It's a brilliant show. I recommend it. They have games with names like this.
Balance.
Balance. And...
Descent.
Descent. And...
Expulsion.
Expulsion. And as you can see, there's always this couple here in the audience. So the rest of the audience shrouded in darkness. One couple picked out in a spotlight. If you zoom in to that picture, you'll see that... I made that. I cheated. Anyway. They have amazing games on the cube. This is how you play Descent.
You must bounce the ball on each of the 2 columns, so it descends into the target container.
There is no way that that is in that box, is it? This is expulsion.
There are 500 balls within the container.
Yes, but not within that container, are there? They can't possibly be there. To recreate Mastermind, you need a chair and a lamp and some mood music. To recreate the Cube, you need a TV-friendly squash court, Mrs. Stig, and Christian Grey's torture chamber. It's not the same, is it? Anyway, this is a detour. Mastermind is what I was concerned about. Because I always associated the board game Mastermind with the TV show Mastermind, and so I always felt that the board game was kind of threatening because the TV show is kind of threatening. And it's bound to be threatening because, I don't know if you know this or not, but it was based on Gestapo interrogation techniques. It's absolutely true. And that music is called Approaching Menace. With good reason. I associated all of that with the board game Mastermind, even though it wasn't really connected, because they were both called Mastermind. And because of that, to me, that music has always been their theme song. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to take a little break right now, but do come back, because later in the show... That's not actual show footage, by the way. We're back in a few minutes. Welcome back to Modern Life is Goodish. Now, I think we all know you've got to watch your words these days, haven't you? Sometimes you might say something that's kind of nuanced, and not everyone is going to see the nuance. Like, some people are going to take it as some kind of firm statement. For example, if I was to say, I quite like a jigsaw, I can hear the difference between that and, I bloody love jigsaws, me. But I don't think everyone else can see the difference. Because I grew up in a home of jigsaw lovers. My mum loves a jigsaw. And I do quite like going to my mum's house, finding a partly made jigsaw and having a dabble. That seems to me to be a very pleasant way of wasting a bit of time. But you show me an unopened jigsaw in a box and I can't be arsed. Now, last year, while we were making Series 2, jigsaws came up in conversation in our office at some point, and I happened to use the phrase, I quite like a jigsaw. And ever since then, the entire production team has had me pegged as some kind of weird jigsaw nut. So, when this story appeared in the papers, advert appears in East London shop for jigsaw enthusiasts who will complete puzzles for up to £50 each, I had every single one of them egging me on to apply. It is a lovely story, I'll give them that, but it's just not for me. Basically, a woman has put an advert in a newsagent's window offering to pay cash money for you to complete her jigsaws. I have jigsaws that I like, but I don't like making them. I am willing to pay £50 per 1,000-piece jigsaw to the right person who is willing to complete them. Of course, my favourite bit, no time wasters. I think most of us are probably asking the same question at this point. It's a question that was raised by someone in the article as well. His name is Adam Bowie, and he is quoted as saying, "That's brightened my day no end," and then asking, who in the world likes jigsaws but doesn't like doing them? I share your confusion, Adam. I think we all do. This is like someone saying, I like sex, I just don't like doing it. I'll pay you £50 to have sex with my wife. The way my friends and colleagues went on and on at me about this story isn't the only evidence I have for their strange perception of me as Mr. Jigsaw. At the end of the second series, they all gave me a little present. It was, of course, ladies and gentlemen, a jigsaw. This is a jigsaw that they had made, and they had made a very deliberate choice to not put the image on the box. I spent the whole of our wrap party going up to people saying, oh, go on, what's on the jigsaw? Tell me what you've done. And every single one of them was just like, no, you'll have to make it. Because they bloody know me too well. And I cracked. So I spent about 3 evenings making that 500-piece jigsaw just so I could work out what the ironic, ridiculous present my friends had got me was. And it turned out, ladies and gentlemen, that it was this. An Alan Sugar jigsaw. I literally spent 3 evenings filling Alan Sugar's face in, and That is a sentence I never thought I'd get to say. And do you know what? I was surprised by the quality of that jigsaw, because they've obviously had this one made by going to one of those printing companies. They've created the image and they've sent it off, and I always assumed that those would be a bit flimsy, a bit fall apart at the edges. But it's not. It's beautifully made. It fits together perfectly. I was really impressed. I was also really impressed by the discovery of a 15% off voucher lurking in the box. Ladies and gentlemen, my mum loves a jigsaw, and I love a bargain. Do you know what else my mum loves? Tom Jones. Do you know what else I love? Photoshopping pictures of Tom Jones together to make my mum a Tom Jones jigsaw because it's a bargain. That's what else I love. And as you can see, unlike my friends and colleagues, I am not cruel. I put the picture on the box like a proper jigsaw. As I wrapped that, I was patting myself on the back. Not literally, I was holding scissors, but you know what I mean. Thinking, oh yes, she's going to pick this up. She's going to know it's a jigsaw. But only when she unwraps it will she know exactly how special it really is. And then I unwrapped it, because curiosity had suddenly got the better of me. Here's what I was thinking. If you owned a company that made bespoke jigsaws for people, how many machines would you have for cutting your jigsaws? Surely what happens is someone emails you a picture, you print it onto some card or whatever, and you put it in the machine and go clunk. And then you get the next one and go clunk, and then the next one and go clunk. At what point would you ever stop to think, we'd better change the pattern? Why would you ever feel the need to do that? I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but then maybe I'm right. And I just happen to be in possession of 2 jigsaws made by the same company. And once that thought is in your head, how can you resist? I just wanted to see if they were based on the same pattern. So I started with the top left-hand corner from the Tom Jones puzzle there as the top 5 pieces. And here are the top 5 pieces from the top of the Alan Sugar jigsaw. And I don't know about you, but they look pretty darn similar to me. You can put them together in all sorts of combinations. You can swap pieces around, do what you like with them. They are exactly the same jigsaw, just with a different picture on them. And all of a sudden, it seems like it probably is worth making Tom Jones after all. So I made the Tom Jones puzzle. So now I've got that puzzle and I've got that puzzle. And they are exactly the same cut. How could you not? So now I've got that puzzle. And I've got that puzzle. As Tom Jones jigsaws go, that one is unusual. Now, this is the puzzle that I'm going to send to my mum for her birthday. And let's be honest, you're going to get quite a long way into that before you realise it's an Alan Sugar face in the middle. You've got flesh tones, a grizzly beard, curly, tight white hair. It is the perfect face for the job. You're not going to know until you get right to the end. And I want to be there on the day when that happens. Meanwhile, that one is going to the local charity shop. Now, as we are talking about games this evening, I am interested to know, ladies and gentlemen, who is your favourite Candy Crush Saga player? Yeah? We've all got one, haven't we? I'll tell you mine. Mine is Nigel Mills, open brackets, politician, close brackets. He is the MP for Amber Valley, which is a constituency in Derbyshire and not the level after Lemonade Lake and before the Chocolate Mountains. I don't know if he's a good politician or not, but I'm pretty sure that nobody's political career is helped by having a subheading on their Wikipedia page called Candy Crush Controversy. Essentially what happened is he was in Parliament, he was in a committee meeting, and he was secretly photographed playing Candy Crush Saga instead of paying attention to whatever the meeting was actually about. For 2 hours. MP's hush hush Candy Crush, said The Sun in a classic red top front page, and it wasn't long before it was exploding across all of the rest of the press. The Guardian were onto it, of course they were. The Mail were onto it, of course they were. The Express had it, of course they did. And Nigel Mills was the very image of a contrite politician. He was apologising, and of course he was promising that it would never happen again, and actually no. No, he was actually promising that he would try not to do it in future. Because you never know when you're going to trip and fall and find yourself playing Candy Crush Saga at work, do you? Of course, when something like this is on the front pages, The bottom half of the internet has plenty to say about it. And I like to see what the keyboard warriors of Britain have to say for themselves. I visited a dozen or more websites where this very story was being discussed, and I've taken some of the great British public's comments on this topic and turned them into something that I think of as being more beautiful, ladies and gentlemen. I've turned them into something that I like to call a found poem that I would like to perform for you now. This is a total non-story. How do I know? Because I am at work right now, and I am reading the news online, texting, and playing Bubble Bobble. It's called multitasking. Deal with it. This man should be sacked immediately. Sacked? Sacking's too good for him. He should be fired. I don't own an iPad, so this couldn't happen to me. But if I did, it could. There is obviously more to this story than meets the eye. There always is. Which is more likely? An MP plays Candy Crush Saga in an important meeting and gets caught? Or the political classes collude with the press to create an advert for a game that hypnos the masses? Yeah? Let me put it another way. Shall we overthrow the government today? Sorry, I can't make it today. I'm stuck on level 342. Think about it, sheeple. I can't believe you are stuck on level 342. That one was easy. In fairness to Nigel Mills, that meeting looked well boring. I have been stuck on level 578 for 2 months now, and I play every day. It stopped being fun some time ago, but I will not be defeated, no matter what my ex-wife says. Lol. Will people please stop calling them candies? We are British. They are sweets. I thank you. The magnificent Bill Ross String Quartet, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see you after the break. Welcome back to Modern Life is Goodish. I am Dave Gorman, and earlier on I was talking about the threatening nature of the board game Mastermind compared to its contemporaries. And it started me thinking, I wonder if in the world of fun and games of today there is anything that is marketed with the same air of threat and menace as Mastermind was all those years ago. And I think there is. I think it's Sudoku. Sudoku books. Now, puzzle books, normally they look something like this. The brainiest, insaniest, ultimate puzzle book. Logic puzzles. Puzzle books for adults, with a cartoon of an octopus on the front. The Think You Know It All book. The activity book for grown-ups. I think the word that covers all of these is jaunty. Even crosswords, which are black and white and kind of austere in their nature, they still have a friendly air about them. It's an arm around the shoulder, have a cup of tea, we're not going to be too difficult, I'll just keep you company for 20 minutes while you do me. That sounds... You get the idea. You get these sorts of crossword books. Mum's Book of Crosswords, which, as you can see, is often sold on Amazon with Dad's Book of Crosswords. Lovely mum and dad sitting side by side doing their own book of crosswords. My mum and my dad, they quite like a crossword, so I thought I would buy the Mum and Dad Book of Crosswords. I've got them with me here, and I thought it'd be interesting to see how different they are, how mumsy the mum's one is, how dadsy the dad's one is. Anyone down here a parent? Are you... OK, do you want to take the Mum's Book of Crosswords? OK, you have a dad over here anywhere at all? Any dads around? Well, you can just pretend you're a dad. You can go with that. Doesn't really matter. Do you want to open the book? Go to the first crossword. I think it's on page 6, the first crossword. If you both go to page 6, and then you, sir, just scan around, find the crossword clue that appeals to you most, and tell me what number clue it is.
One across.
One across. OK, you looked hard. What's the clue there?
Country in Southern Asia.
Country in Southern Asia. How many letters?
5.
India. OK, and what's yours?
Number 1 across.
And it's...
country in southern Asia.
Oh, they're the same. That's weird, that, isn't it? That's weird. Do you want to pick another crossword? Just go to a different page in case anyone thinks we've sort of rigged it.
Okay.
In no way. Just tell me what page you've gone for.
Okay,
so we...
59.
59, OK, sir. Do you want to go to 59? And do you want to just find a clue?
Well, let's say one across again.
One across again, OK.
Shy.
Shy. OK. 59, one across.
Shy.
Shy. They're the same bloody book, aren't they? If you ever see a couple on a train doing the mum and dad book of crosswords, they're doing the same thing. How weird is that? And it's not just mum and dad. They do granddads and grandma's book of crosswords as well. And they're all the same book. The point at which I draw the line, though, is the uncle's book of crosswords and the aunt's book of crosswords. What particularly avuncular quality do uncles have that is going to shape the crossword clues that they might enjoy? Mind you, there's a clue on the cover that these aren't going to be the finest version of crossword books. They're both called novelty crosswords. Yeah, novelty is a code word for shit. Novelty socks, shit socks. Novelty chocolate, shit chocolate. Novelty pasta, pasta in the shape of a penis. Basically, novelty things are always worse than not novel things. That's how this works. Anyway, they do books for absolutely everyone. We've got great-grandmas, we've got grandmas, we've got mums, and we've got aunts' book of crosswords. Now, my mum won't thank me for saying this on television, but my mum is a great-grandmother. She's also, obviously, a grandmother and obviously also a mother. And she has a brother and he has kids, so my mum is also an auntie. And my mum loves a crossword. If there's one thing my mum loves more than a crossword, it's a jigsaw. And if there's one thing she loves more than a jigsaw, it is Tom Jones. But she does love a crossword. So because she is all of those people to someone, last Christmas, I colluded with other members of my family to ensure that she got all 4 of them, and she was delighted. She was delighted for about 5 minutes. Anyway, my point, if we remember, is that these games are to puzzle books as this game is to Sudoku. Sudoku has a severity, a threat to it that the other puzzle books do not have. I mean, look at that. That's almost a swastika if you blink, isn't it? 100 samurai Sudoku puzzles. There's more. Fiendish Sudoku, super fiendish Sudoku, killer Sudoku, ultimate killer Sudoku, book 4, the deadliest of all killer collections. It's not a Taggart box set, it's a puzzle book. This is the ultimate, the Harikiri Sudoku. A puzzle book named after ritual suicide. The act of cutting your own guts open and disemboweling yourself because you've brought shame on your samurai brethren. And if you don't know what Harikiri is, this is what you find if you look it up on Wikipedia. Seppuku. Seppuku, stomach cutting. Often called Harikiri, but the official word for it is seppuku. And yet they've called their book of Sudoku the Harikiri Sudoku when it could have been called the Seppuku Sudoku. That would have been a far better name, wouldn't it? This is like that time when Yoda advertised Vodafone and they didn't call it Yodaphone. Now, talking of Yoda, back at the end of the break, we will be. Welcome back to Modern Life is Goodish. Now, earlier on, we were talking about jigsaws and how I had discovered that if you buy 2 jigsaws from the same bespoke jigsaw-making company, they come out with exactly the same cut. Now, it occurred to me after that to think about the proper jigsaw makers, the authentic jigsaw makers, the ones who make the jigsaws you can buy in toy shops. Are they using one big machine as well? Or have they got different machines? Because they're aware that the same people are buying them, they could be changing the pattern regularly. I don't know the answer, but it's a curious question, isn't it? So I bought some jigsaws, ladies and gentlemen. I bought 9 jigsaws. They're all from a company called Gibson's, one of the finest jigsaw manufacturers in the land, the Gibson family firm. That is about £110 worth of jigsaws right there. I am a curious man. But I was a bit disappointed when I opened the box, because in every single one of them I found the same thing under the lid, a guarantee that says on it, unfortunately, we are unable to replace specific pieces as each puzzle is cut individually. Each puzzle is therefore unique, and pieces in one puzzle are unlikely to fit into another. It's at this point that I wished I'd only bought 2 jigsaws. Still, if you've bought them, you've got to see if it is true or not. So I compared pieces from the different jigsaws just to see if I could find any matches. And when I looked at an apple a day, it did not correspond with any of the other 8 jigsaws. When I examined Farmyard Friends, it did not correspond with any of the other jigsaws. But when I examined Cuddly Koalas, it corresponded exactly with Kitten Capers and Tiger Sanctuary. And, unlikely though it may be, Waterloo, Scotland Forever. That is a 4-way match, if the top corner is to be believed. Exciting times. And then I looked at Fortress Malta and discovered that it corresponded precisely with Home Sweet Home and Riverside Walk. That is a 3-way match. These are very exciting times, and Gibsons, with their guarantee, are little liars. These things are not as unique as they're making out. So now I've got a challenge, haven't I? Obviously, I can remove those 2 jigsaws from consideration, but I've still got 7 jigsaws. That is effectively one big 7,000-piece jigsaw. And for the first time in my life, I want to start and finish it. That's what I want to do, but how do you begin? Where do you start with a jigsaw? Well, obviously, with a jigsaw, you start with the edge. Unless it's that jigsaw. Then you definitely don't. You can see, incidentally, there is one piece missing on that jigsaw. And do you know what? I still haven't found the punchline to that joke. I can't find it anywhere. I have no idea where it is. However, I've got these 7,000 pieces of jigsaw that I need to put together. And you know what? I found a way of making them. You remember that picture we saw earlier in the Evening Standard story? I did that. That was me. Yeah, Adam Bowie, that brightened my day no end. Who in the world likes jigsaws but doesn't like doing them? Me, that's who. I'm exactly that man. Chris McFarlane, oh, I do hope that's real. It is real, Chris. I wanted the jigsaws made. I was prepared to pay money to make them. Now, I didn't put it in the newsagent's window because I thought people would see it whilst walking down Roman Road in East London and then think, oh, I'll make some jigsaws and make some money, because I know that deep down, nobody looks in those newsagents' windows. What I thought was it was a cheap way of advertising it to a large number of people. I spend £1 doing that, and then I take a photo of it. And then I send that photo to a friend of mine and say, do you fancy tweeting that as if you've just seen it? And then, hopefully, it might buzz around Twitter for a little bit. And some people might see it. And some of those people might want to make jigsaws for me, and I will give them £50. So she did. She tweeted it. Any grands around the East London area looking to make some extra cash, she asked. And as you can see, that has been retweeted quite a few times. 49 retweets, 33 favourites. And some of the people retweeting it were journalists with lots of followers. So it started spreading. I wasn't expecting it to get in the papers. I wasn't expecting this to happen. Somebody getting in touch with Emily saying, hi, please may I use your funny pic on London 24? With a credit, of course. London 24 is an online news resource. They put it on their website. And the journalist who wrote about that, she emailed hackney.jigsaw@outlook.com to ask me questions. And I had to make up some answers. And I didn't want to say, yes, it's me, my name's Dave, and I want to mash up some jigsaws, but I can't be asked to make them, because I didn't think they'd believe that. So I made something else up, and they quoted me verbatim. For some reason, they found this more believable. I said I was Jill, incidentally. I don't know why. I said, of course, if I just liked the pictures, I'd be content to look at the lids. But a completed jigsaw looks so lovely and satisfying because you can see how fragile it is. When I have a completed one, I like to take a piece out and look at it closely. Sometimes it seems as if there is almost nothing there. But then you slot it back in, and suddenly it all makes sense. So satisfying. And she believed that. That persuaded her. She put that on London 24, and that got to so many people, which meant suddenly my inbox was overflowing with people wanting to make jigsaws for me. I spent loads of time vetting people who wanted to make jigsaws for me when I could have been making the jigsaws. I also received an email from a man called Martin Derbyshire. His email said, 1, I love jigsaws. 2, please don't use Comic Sans for such an important subject. And 3, are you Dave Gorman? How the hell did that happen? That has freaked me out no end. And do you know what's weirder? I looked at all the emails for the booking list for this recording, and I know that there is a man here called Martin Derbyshire. Martin Derbyshire, where are you? Where are you? Hello, Martin. Are you the same Martin Derbyshire?
I am, yes.
What made you think it was me?
I think it was the Comic Sans that gave it away.
Is that right? Ah. To me, I thought it was the no time wasters. That's obviously a joke, isn't it? But it wasn't. Martin was a one-off. Most of the other people who were emailing, I mean, they were genuinely just people saying, I'll do it, I'll make them. Some of them were, like, in Manchester saying, can you post it to me? How are you going to post a completed jigsaw back to me? No, I can't. But most of them were in London. I managed to get some of the jigsaws made. I found some people we could actually work out how to do it. Because of that, I got Riverside Walk made. And I got Home Sweet Home made because I knew those two matched. What I hadn't figured on was that they only match if one of them is upside down. I made the wrong corners. I hadn't worked out that that was a thing. So one of them has to be upside down, either like that or like that. So it's really hard to get anything very satisfying with these two. I mean, on that one, you can see I've just got like a patch of sky and tree down there. But then on the other one, you get a massive upside-down dog in the sky. So if you put those pieces back in the box and take it to a charity shop, you have freaked somebody out big time. Because those pieces fit. And it's a perfect fit. And inside the box there's a thing saying that that's impossible, that can't happen. So somebody's going to be, this is what it's meant to be. Why is there a dog in the sky? The pieces fit. Then on Twitter, I saw someone tweeting Emily saying this, hi Emily, can we please use this picture for Standard News? That's the Evening Standard. That led to even more people applying to make jigsaws. I found another couple of suitable applicants and got more jigsaws made. I had Kitten Capers made, it was in the Evening Standard, and Tiger Sanctuary, that one was made, and Cuddly Koalas. Hey, I got all three of those made. And these three are a perfect match. You can mash up Tiger Sanctuary and Cuddly Koalas, and I love this one because it's so subtle. It's really subtle. You mash those two up and you get that. And it sort of makes sense. Except it came in a box which had tigers on the front. And you're making it and it all fits and it looks kind of right, and you know, at some point you're going, there is nothing orange in this box. And these trees are right, those elephants right. Why are there no tigers on this jigsaw? The other way you can mash these ones up, you do it with kittens and koalas. They're quite satisfying as well, because you get that. It's the way this cat down here knows something's going on. He's looking at it going, you were not in this jigsaw when we started. But this is my favourite. This is my favourite of these. You take the kittens and you take the tigers, and again, this one is quite subtle, but it is worth it. You get that. Absolutely shitting himself. But then, a very, very weird thing happened.
Next, woman who hates what offers to pay someone £50 to do them.
There's very little that makes me spit my tea out in front of the telly. But I'll tell you, we're having to get a new rug after this. I can't believe this is happening. They had a few guesses to see if they could work out what it was.
Is it crosswords?
All close.
Sudoku puzzles? No.
Ridiculous. Explain that to me. Why would someone pay other people to do a crossword for them? Why would someone pay you to do a Sudoku for them? Where would the pleasure be in that? Ridiculous guesses. It's obviously jigsaws, isn't it? In the end, Victoria Corrin ends up having to explain it to them.
Completing jigsaws.
Oh, completing jigsaws?
Yeah.
Yeah, completing jigsaws. Obvious now when you think about it, isn't it?
She loves jigsaws, she just doesn't like completing them. This is a woman in East London who placed an advert offering to pay £50 for someone to complete her jigsaw. Here's the advert.
The buggers have blurred my email address. I'm not going to get any applicants out of this, am I? Thank you very much. Have I got news for you?
No time wasters.
I'm quite proud that my joke got quite a big laugh, and have I got news for you there? That's quite good, isn't it? That's quite nice, isn't it? Oh, he sold it very well.
Has it not occurred to her that most jigsaws are based on a picture? And you can just buy the picture?
Yeah, it has occurred to me, actually, Ian, yes. Yeah, the thing is, Ian, a completed jigsaw looks so lovely and satisfying because you can see how fragile it is. Why don't you understand this, Ian Hislop? The minute this show was over, I called Emily and said, did you know that was going to happen? She said, yes, they were in touch beforehand. They asked for my permission to use the picture. I said, why didn't you tell me? She said, I knew you'd be watching. Better still, she said, you know what? They paid me. But what do you mean? She said they paid me for using the photo. Have I got news for you? Have paid her a licence fee, or as I like to call it, 2 jigsaws. That's what they've done. They have paid for me to make 2 more jigsaws. Thanks to the largesse of Have I Got News for You, I was able to get Waterloo, Scotland Forever, and Fortress Malta, both made. Thank you very much indeed, Have I Got News for You. Martin Derbyshire thought it was me, and you didn't. Now, as we know, Waterloo, Scotland Forever only corresponds with these few jigsaws. It's going to be quite tricky to match those up, I thought. The best I could come up with was that. A return to Scared Kitten. He is shitting himself even more this time. But my favourite came with Fortress Malta. I didn't think it was going to work because it could only match up with 2 jigsaws and one of them has to be upside down. What I found is if you take Riverside Walk and Fortress Malta and put them together in the right way, you can get that. How beautiful is that? I love the way this stretch of water becomes the nice, gentle, boating river. That is a thing of beauty. This fella here, he's having a flashback right there. What's happening? It's like a birthday card for a 9-year-old boy who's also someone's aunt. Doesn't know what it's trying to be. I'm going to take this one to a charity shop in a box, because this is just fantastic. I mean, I wouldn't be cruel to the jigsaw makers. If you were making this jigsaw and it's not what's on the box, you'll be a bit frustrated to begin with, but after a while, you are going to come to appreciate that somebody went to an awful lot of work to make this happen. This is going to brighten someone's day up, as far as I'm concerned. The trouble is that the flip side of this jigsaw just isn't very good. I'm not going to put that in a shop. That's just ruining someone's day. That's no good even if you put a giant upside-down dog in the sky there. There's just nothing going on there, is it? So I'm going to take that one to the charity shop in that box, and that means I've got the boxes for the other ones that it matches with, but I haven't got anything really satisfying to go in them. So I've got that box, and I thought, you know what? My mum is owed an apology, because I sent my mum a Tom Jones jigsaw with a big Alan Sugar face in it. So I've taken the Home Sweet Home image and I've turned it into a new jigsaw, and I've put it back in the Home Sweet Home box, and my mum is going to get it for her next birthday. And when she makes it, she's going to find it doesn't look like that. It looks like that. And then I'm going to take that box and I'm going to make a jigsaw that goes in that box, and I'm going to take it to a charity shop. And when someone makes it, it's not going to look like that. It's going to look like this. And if that doesn't freak someone out, I am not sure what will. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, we've put together the pieces, and with thanks to Alan Sugar, Tom Jones, a shitting-it kitten, and an upside-down dog, I think we have proved conclusively that modern life is indeed goodish. Good night.